So in this video, we're going to look at exponents. So a couple of definitions. Exponent, we have this big number we call the base. And then the exponent is going to be we call it a superscript, which just means the number written up top, the smaller number. That is the exponent. You will also see it sometimes referred to as the power. So this is read as 5 to the third power, or 5 cubed. And the definition of exponents, what this means is you're going to write out the base, the number of exponents times. 5 times 5. So we're going to write this out 3 times. If that was 5 to the fifth, we would write 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, 5 times a total of 5 times. So what we're going to do is use our knowledge of the exponent definition to simplify some of these. So I've got the calculator here. Unfortunately, your Praxis calculator does not have an exponent button. So the way that you're going to have to simplify these is truly just type out using the definition. So in your calculator, you'll do 5 times 5 times 5, and that's going to give you out 125. There is no exponent button like you may be familiar with on your graphing calculator. You will just have to use the multiplication. So let's look at some perfect squares. Perfect squares, and then with that, their relation to the square root. So I've got models here to show us what does a 1 by 1, a 2 by 2 mean. So 1 by 1 is 1 squared, which is 1. And therefore, the square root of 1 is 1. A 2 by 2, 2 squared, where there's a total of 4 blocks, and then the square root of 4 is 2. A 3 by 3, 3 squared, there's a total of 9 blocks, and so 3 squared is 9. And then the square root of 9 is 3. 4 by 4, this is going to continue all the way on, and the square root of 16 is 4, etc., and all the way down. So 5 squared is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. 6 squared is 36, and the square root of 36 is 6. 7 squared, 49, and the square root of 49 is 7. So what you can start to see is the relationship between the squared and the square root. These are what we call inverse operations. So squared and square root are inverses. Meaning that they undo each other. So very similar to addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, squared and square roots are going to undo each other. And so this continues all the way down to, in this case, 10 squared. And so going back to our calculator, thankfully, they do give us a square root button, but there is no squared. So you will have square root that you'll be able to type in. But for squareds, you'll have to type in 8 times 8 or 12 times 12 if it's a number that you don't know. And so there's all of our perfect squares. Not something that you need to memorize because you have the ability to find it in your calculator, just knowing how to find it in your calculator. And so with that being said, let's extend out square roots to all roots. So we have something called the nth root. An nth root just means that it is any general square root. So just some definitions. The little number on the root is called the index. And if I don't see a number, I assume it's a 2. So back here, where I didn't see a number, I assume that the index is a 2 for square roots. We just don't write it because square roots are the most common. All right, so that little 4 is called the index. And then the symbol is actually called the root or radical. And then the thing inside is called the radicand. And really, the big takeaway from this is that cubed roots and cubes are inverses. Just like square roots and squares, cubed roots and cubes are inverses. And fourth roots and the fourth power are inverses. And so that would extend out. We won't really look past square roots, honestly, in the context of this class, but it's just really good information to have, especially as you see where your students are going in a class, and then you just start to see the broader picture of math. All right, so open up your books to page 72, number 4 and 5. We're going to do those together. And I would recommend pausing the video, work through number 4 and 5, and then restart it so you can check with me. All right, so hopefully you've worked these problems. So number 4 says, which of the following is equivalent to 64? So the first answer says 2 to the third. The second one says 2 to the fourth. Letter C says 4 to the third. D says 4 to the fourth. And then E says 4 to the fifth. So what I'm going to do is just type it into my calculator. So 2 to the third, 2 times 2 times 2 is going to give me 8. That is not 64. 2 to the fourth is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And that gives me 16, not 64. 4 to the third means 4 times 4 times 4. And that one is indeed 64. And let's just check the rest of them. 4 to the fourth, when I type that thing in, I get 256. So that's not 64. And 4 to the fifth gives me 1024. So the correct answer there is 4 to the third, or letter C. 4 to the third equals 64. And then number 5 says, which of the following is equivalent to the square root of 100? And that was one that's on our chart. The square root of 100, I can type that in and get out 10, which is letter C.